For more on their dueling border visits, Rafael Bernal joins me now. He's a staff writer for The Hill, a newspaper covering politics. So, Rafael, more than just photo ops here, there's a lot of blame being shifted around by both sides, both Biden and Trump. But what messages are they trying to send to their respective audiences?
Well, they're very separate messages. President Biden's message is essentially leaning in on the idea that Republicans negotiated the deal that they wanted and then backed away just so that he couldn't solve the border crisis. Now, obviously, that message has a few holes because we don't know if that deal would have actually solved the crisis. But he is right in that Republicans first negotiated it and then backed away out of the only potential solution available to anyone. President Trump's message is much darker. It's much more similar to 2016 Trump than to 2020 Trump. It's about basically accusing migrants of increasing criminality in the United States, which is false. Over and over again, it has been proven that if anything, immigrants have a reducing effect on crimes, especially crimes like homicide. But it is a very effective political tool. He started his political career wielding that tool, and he's back at it.
Yeah, I mean, we're a little far away from the border wall that he touted so much during his first one. Immigration, always an issue, as we know, during an election year. This one, no different. But it seems a little bit hotter now with more higher profile alleged crimes, as you mentioned, by some undocumented migrants. Trump mentioning that case in Athens, Georgia, with that nursing student killed on the campus of the University of Georgia. How is that impacting the discussion?
Well, President Trump and his allies are really trying to make it the center of the discussion. And again, immigrants, by and large, commit fewer crimes than natural-born Americans, and it is a very dangerous game to play. We've seen incidents like the massacre in 2019 in El Paso. Well, that was a hate-inspired incident. This kind of rhetoric can only fuel that sort of hatred because the pain of crime victims is obviously real and tangible, and they are looking for blame, which is a natural human thing to do. Taking advantage of the situations and of the fear that they create is, again, it's a very effective tool. Politicians often don't use it because of the associated dangers of going in that direction.
We know the U.S. Congress was working on a bipartisan border package that was stopped in the Senate. Could something like that, could that be revived before the election, or could President Biden take some sort of other action or an executive order to get something done?
Legislative action would take, in a word, a miracle. It's very unlikely that that the moment will come back where that can happen. There is a slight gap where maybe in budget negotiations, Republicans are able to corner Democrats into accepting measures that they don't want. That is within the realm of possibility. President Biden can take a lot of executive actions, and it's a very broad field. It's sort of undefined what the president can and can't do on immigration via executive actions, except for one thing: he cannot move funds. He cannot increase the budget by executive action, and ultimately, that's the one thing that he really wants to do: is have more officers processing asylum requests, have more officers, Border Patrol officers, patrolling the border, and that he cannot get by executive action. He can reinterpret existing laws, but that has its limits into how much it will affect the existing conditions at the border.
All right, Rafael Bernal, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your insight.
My pleasure.